it's fantastic. We have about 35 that are on, and I imagine we'll have more jump on as we go. Just to let everybody know, I am recording the session. Just we like to let people know that. So again, my name is Carrie Stark and I'm the state 4-H director. And, we already had this training planned prior to kind of chaos in our life happening in the last couple of weeks. So it was like, let's go ahead and do it. I think it's still some important topics. The one thing I want to know is how many of you are first-time Zoom users? Or how many of you have downloaded Zoom since this has all happened and just using it? And yeah, it's we've used Zoom in 4-H and extension. Some of you have been on meetings that I've had with Zoom, and we've done other trainings, and it's really funny because I've been using it, gosh, for probably almost 10 years now. And the first weekend that this all happened, that everybody went into self-isolation mode, I think they said they had 600,000 people start Zoom accounts. So it has been a pretty significant number of people starting to use this to communicate with families. So hopefully you'll get a chance and get to see that. So, but thank you everybody. And I know this is really a chaotic time for all of us. Those of us in Washoe County today, we started our schooling, our online digital, I'm not really sure, homeschooling modification, our new ways. So trying to get used to that. I have a 15-year-old at home that we're trying to navigate through all of that. But, we're all just moving forward. I keep saying, as we're moving forward, sometimes it feels like we're stalled, we're standing still, but we are still moving forward. We're going to be, it's going to take all of us to reach our goals. One of the things I want to talk tonight about, and some of you saw it in the agenda, was the goals that we've set for the 4-H program. So in Nevada, and how are we going to get that done? So, and I know some of you are going to have questions about kind of where we're at as far as our program, where, when we can get started back up, etc. I'll try to answer as many questions as we can at the, we'll answer them at the end. Right now, it changes. It feels like still day by day. So we are, feels like I'm constantly having to look and see what's happening. So, all right, I am going to, so we are going, I'm trying to get this. Okay, I made it work today. I'm so excited. I've been having issues. I have my iPad going at the same time so I can see what you guys are seeing. So we're going to just start today by talking, or we're going to do some introductions. And I tried to think of how we could do this with so many people on the webinar, because right now I'm showing 41 people. So one of the features that we have in Zoom is I can put you into breakout rooms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this group up. There's going to be about 5 to 6 in each group. And you're going to be answering the questions, your favorite, or what's your name in your county? What is your favorite 4-H project? Then share if you've done anything to maintain contact with your 4-H club members, or your 4-H, the 4-H club members in your county or your club while you've been in this self-isolation mode. And 4-H has been, where we have a kind of a stop to all face-to-face meetings. So what it will do is it's going to automatically put you in a room, so don't freak out. It may ask you if you want to join that room, say yes. And then what you will do is you're going to get a 15-second, you'll be in that room for 5 minutes. You're going to get a 15-second countdown, and then it's going to pop you back into this main room. Okay. I'm just setting it up right now. All right. Said you guys had a question. So you might have to unmute your mics if you have a microphone.
I can't type on my, I can't seem to figure out how to type anything.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Do you see the chat box down below there's a little bar down below?
No, I have start video, share, participants, and more. More doesn't bring anything up, just says you can wave or.
Oh, that's weird. I
It's
wonder.
weird. It's
More,
not like last time, so.
Okay, what's that?
if you
It's
click
not
on more, there's an option to chat, but it goes to the whole group. It goes to everybody.
Okay, yeah, probably for this one it is going to go to the whole group. So, yeah, if you have a microphone and can unmute, that would be fantastic.
Okay.
Okay, thanks guys.
Thanks.
Okay.
Hi, I'm going to put the two of you in a group. Actually, oh, I can't do it now. So what I'm going to do, we're answering questions right now. So if you want to, we're sharing our name and our county and our favorite 4-H project and what you've done, if anything, to maintain contact with your 4-H club members.
Can you add me back to my original group? I somehow got thrown out of it.
Let me see if I can. I'm not sure if I can do that or not.
If not, no worries. I just was trying to get the speaker and stuff to work and somehow got taken out.
I totally understand. Okay, here, I can assign you to a room. I'm going to assign you to room 5. Okay, I'm sending you, or yep. Hi, Mallory. What for Mallory, for the few that just started, what we are doing is I've put people in breakout rooms and we're just introducing each other. Okay.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, do you want me to put you in a breakout room? Or do you want to?
I can just wait here. Yeah,
Okay.
I kind of just wanted to watch and I didn't, yeah.
Thank
you.
We're going to be done in just a minute. So
Okay.
I think they have just a few more minutes.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a few people not sure if the breakout rooms are working for them, but we'll see. Hopefully they did. People have to unmute their mics.
And they don't have you there to keep telling them, right?
Yeah, exactly. I can jump from room to room, but yeah. I'm just gonna see how it works. It's supposed to end, 20 seconds it will end. It's really cool because you can set it to automatically like pop them back in.
Yeah, there's so many features that are really, really cool here.
Yeah, exactly. So. Okay. Yeah, it says they're coming back. Okay. I'm going to give everybody just a couple minutes to get back in. Okay. Hopefully everybody made it back in. And one thing about the breakout rooms that I didn't mention, I forgot to mention to everybody, is that they didn't, or you don't have the chat feature in the breakout rooms. It goes to the whole group. So if you don't have a microphone, so we'll have to think about that. But hopefully everybody got a chance to meet a few people, a few new volunteers and staff. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. All right. How did everybody like that kind of quick chat room? That's a feature in Zoom that we haven't used a lot. So I just am interested to see.
It was nice to see how it worked, Carrie. Thank you.
Hey, good. Nothing
Yeah, no, I know. I'm so afraid of Zoom, but I've been trying to learn some things before I actually launch this with everybody because I don't know what I'm doing.
Yes. And for those of you that are, you know, as leaders, just so you're aware, we do have the ability in the counties to be able to set up Zoom meetings for your club meetings. You know, I think about this in a club meeting. If you have multiple projects, you could break them into project areas and have them have smaller meetings, smaller groups, or you can do this type of activity, you know, where you break them up to do introductions and that type of thing. So lots of cool features with it. So, all right. So let's get into kind of the meat of the program. So we're really looking at our 4-H mission, and the University of Nevada, Reno Extension 4-H Youth Development is an age-appropriate positive youth development program that helps shape future leaders and innovators through research-driven, hands-on learning activities with a focus on academic and career readiness. Well, you know that I can't really publish that in a lot of places because most people look at it and go, wow, that's a lot. But that really is what drives our programming. And so we really do want to, you know, that's always in the back of our mind when looking at programming. And it's done in a variety of methods. It's not, you know, it's our club program, it's school programs, it's after school programs, it's other types of programs. So we also have, you know, you always have to have that vision. You know, that is a world in which youth and adults learn, grow, and work together as catalysts for positive change. And we do have, you know, our 4-H grows a promise to Nevada's youth. So by 2025, 4-H will reflect the population demographics, diverse needs, and social conditions of the country and our state. This vision has the elements of inclusion, caring adults, and involves at least 100,000 youth, and the volunteers and staff reflect the population. So you're going to see that number 100,000, and that really is a goal that we set for the 4-H program. By 2025, we will have increased our participation in 4-H to 100,000 youth. There are some goals in between that, but that really is our big goal. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But before we can talk about reaching 100,000 youth, I want to show you where we are. I know every year I try to share where we are within the 4-H program, kind of a look at the program. And so this is one that I would like to share with you. And so you can see that, you know, I've put numbers from 2014 all the way through 2018, 2019. So we really have in the 5-year span, we have increased, we've seen about a 20% increase in our overall 4-H participation and a 29% increase in individual youth that are participating in 4-H. So, oops, I went one too far. Okay, sorry. This gives you a little better clarity of those, you know, of that information. So when you see overall participation with duplicates and overall participation without duplicates, I want to explain that just briefly. So with duplicates is, you know, we may reach a young person, they might be in our club program and they might be in one of our after school programs, as well as maybe even, you know, we're going into a classroom and we know that 4-Her is, we know that young person is in the 4-H club program. And so there's a way that we can report those. Or if you have youth that are in multiple clubs, you can, if you have youth that are in multiple clubs, it will pull out those duplicate numbers. And so that's one way that we, you know, so we showed two different numbers. So the overall participation is the total number of youth that we reach. Without duplicates is the number of individual youth that we reach. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. And you can see the numbers as far as gender, the school grade, the breakdown of that. I kind of have they're lumped together by I put them kind of in our age categories that we have within 4-H. So everybody can see that. It is and this is something that's not unique to Nevada, where the largest numbers are that junior age range, and then also clover buds. Part of that is also these numbers reflect all extension youth programs. So not just our 4-H club program, but it also would include any SNAP Ed programming that's done, or any nutrition programs that are done in schools, any of our youth horticulture programs that are done. And a lot of their target audiences are that K through 2, or that clover bud age, or the really K through 3 is kind of their target range. So that is, that's one of the reasons why those numbers are high too. But we do have, if you look at our club program, the juniors is by far our highest number, and then it tapers down by seniors. So currently right now we're reaching about 1 in 7 youth in Nevada with that 65,000 number. When we look at that goal of 100,000, that's going to be reaching about 1 in 5 youth in the state. That to me would be fantastic. I would love it. And the goal is that counties would be able to reach that same kind of ratio. So you can also see the numbers of where our young people live, if they're in rural communities or if they're urban. You can see about I think it's like 80% of our 4-H participation is in urban counties, and that is really we look at that number. That's not just Washoe and Clark County. That's looking at some of our other communities. And then also ethnicity, you can see those the ethnicity and the race. These numbers are really pretty comparable to our state demographics. So we're doing good there. There's always a need to reach new audiences, and so we have to look at that. And then our total number of volunteers, you can see that number has really increased. Last year we had about 4,200 adult volunteers in the program. Now that is kind of a fluctuating number. I would say that's probably a little bit high, just on how it's reported within our system, but we're probably close to 3,500, 4,000 volunteers. And then just looking at our different delivery modes of how we reach the youth of Nevada. So our club-based program, which all of you are very familiar with our club-based program, that last year we reached about 4,200 young people through that. And I'm going to talk about the different types of clubs that are available within 4-H in a few minutes. We also have special interest in short-term programs. And again, I'm going to talk about each one of these, so I'm not going to necessarily define them right now, but you will hear a definition. And they are, so we had about 26,000. Our camp-based programs, that includes both overnight camping as well as day camps. We have a lot of communities that do day camping as well. And then we have school-based programs, and where maybe our staff and or volunteers go into a school and supplement the school curriculum there. We also do have individual member or family study, and you can see that number's pretty low, which does not, it's not one that we spend a lot of time on. And then we have our after-school based programming. All right, and then you look at our number of project enrollments. So it's broke down into 3 categories: STEM, healthy living, and citizenship or civic engagement. So within our STEM-based program projects, you can see that includes ag in the classroom, any of our animal science projects, biological sciences, family and consumer science, environmental ed, which includes shooting sports, physical science, plant science, and engineering, technology and engineering. We had about 72,000 projects in that last year. About 52% of our total enrollment as far as projects. Now, it was interesting because I didn't realize, it was surprised to me, that number actually went down, that percentage went down in 2017, 2018. That number was actually at 40 or 65% of our projects were STEM based. So we have increased in some of our other project areas, but our overall number of projects has also increased. But our civic engagement, so again, you know, civic engagement, communications and expressive arts, community and volunteer service, leadership and personal development, that's at about 25% of our total numbers. And I've taken pictures and tried to represent some of our programs that we've done in those areas too. We have the one on the far left that is actually some of our 4-H members from Clark County 2 or 3 years ago now, I can't remember exactly. We had a meeting for national 4-H program leaders, so people that are in my role from all across the country in Las Vegas, and we were doing it was kind of a service activity for the 4-Hers, but they wanted to learn from young people what they wanted to hear from young people about 4-H. And so we brought in, I think there was about 20 or 30 4-Hers from Clark that we brought in, and they talked to them. So that's that picture of our kids. And then a couple of our members in Washington, D.C. at the Leadership Washington Focus program. And then a couple of years ago, Sonny Perdue, the Secretary of Agriculture, was in Vegas, and our 4-Hers went and served lunch for him. So that was a picture of them with Sonny Perdue. And then, I don't know, some of your counties participated in our Text Talk and Revive Civility trainings that we did with teens in, I think it was last year, we did blended learning, so face-to-face. So that's a picture of the kids doing that. So just kind of a fun way to do that. And then our healthy living projects, which includes our foods and nutrition, health, and personal safety, that's about 23% of our population. And again, you know, these are all activities. We've got one of our counties did goat yoga one time, and we've just done lots of different, you know, we've tried to increase those numbers. So all right, and for the staff that are on this call, you're going to see a new graphic, and you guys will get additional information about this graphic, but I wanted to share it. It's just taking kind of it's nothing new to any of the staff. It's just a different way of representing what it looks like. So this is really, I've tried to think of a way that we could represent kind of what our vision looking forward to 4-H. So I'm going to talk about each piece of this, but this is kind of a new graphic looking at the vision. So in the center of this graphic, it really all begins with the positive youth development. That's what the PYD, if you hear PYD, that's really what that stands for. And positive youth development really is an intentional approach to promoting positive outcomes. So, you know, the research shows if you have a positive youth development program with intentional programming, you're going to get typically, you know, it's a predictor of getting good outcomes for that. And so it's really looking at those outcomes for young people through family and community youth engagement that's going to benefit society. And so it's focusing on relationships with, you know, building those relationships while delivering content. That's where the volunteers and our staff come in. You know, you're building those positive relationships with young people. It's giving the youth the skill sets that they need to navigate socially and, you know, further on it, and then also you know, helps them with future employability. So as we look at this, you know, really everything that Nevada 4-H offers is built around positive youth development. And I talk about, you know, in here, it's providing a place for youth to explore their interests and their passions, or their spark. You're going to hear us talk a lot about Youth Spark in the future. And really what that is a passion for a self-identified interest or skill. We always say the project is the way to get the young people into our program. You know, it's not the end all, you know, we don't want that, you know, I mean, we want them to learn the skills, but it's not the, you know, we want to get them into the program and have all the other opportunities that 4-H has available. And so how Spark is different than like a leisure activity is the Spark creates actions that not only contribute to the benefit of the young person, but also to society at large. So for example, shooting sports. You know, most of us on here know that shooting sports is probably one of our largest project areas, single project areas in 4-H across the nation. But what that does for our, you know, that's not only benefits the young person because they're learning, you know, safety for firearms, etc., but it also benefits society as a whole because we're giving them decision-making skills. We're giving them, you know, we're giving them skills that they need to be able to make good decisions as they grow up and handle firearms. So, you know, we're putting safe children, you know, safe young persons and responsible adults into the system because they've learned, you know, that is a tool. It also provides intrinsic fuel for the young person's growth in knowledge and skill. And so, you know, if they want to learn about beef, they're going to be very involved in that area. And so it brings them in, but we're also giving them, again, those additional skills. And it enhances a young person's network because you know, that young person encounters others with similar spark. You know, they're getting involved in a project area that other young people have similar interests. And especially, they're also getting involved with adults who have expertise that can help them facilitate, serve as mentors for them. So that's really, you know, that PYD, positive youth development, and that spark is the center of what we do. And then we look at, you know, the next section is the high quality learning opportunities. And so really looking at, you know, offering programs that offer youth program quality principles that focus on youth belonging. And they, you know, the research really does show that as youth programs, they have to be done well if we want to make that positive difference. And those aspects of quality programs are physical and psychological safety. So some of you, you know, I over the years, I've talked about it both an emotionally and physically safe environment for our young people. To me, that's an easier phrase than psychological safety, but having the appropriate structure, supportive relationships, opportunities to belong, positive social norms, or you know, having that knowing what's expected, support the efficacy and mattering of those young people, opportunities for skill building, and the integration of family, school, and community. And so really, you know, you can see that quality, and we've got it. There are some tools being developed right now that will help us to be able to evaluate high quality. And one of the pieces we're going to be focusing on, you know, moving forward, is providing training for volunteers on how do you create these high quality learning opportunities. Most of you are providing those opportunities, but how could we maybe even enhance that a little bit more? And then the next one is our developmental context. So really emphasizing the developmental relationship between adults who care, they challenge growth, and they share power with our young people. And so, you know, it's that positive supporting relationship between the youth and the 4-H staff and volunteers that's critical to youth development. You know, they're called developmental because they grow and change as that young person does. You know, as you think about as a 4-H volunteer or as a 4-H staff, you know, when you have a young person that comes in at 8 or 9 years old, or even 5 or 6, and you kind of get to know them, but then when they become, you know, that high school senior and they're still involved, your relationship has changed a lot with that young person. And so, and that's what they, that's really the importance of that. And so it's, it's showing that young person that there is that caring adult, expressing care, that we're challenging their growth. We are, we're setting our expectations high for those young people and helping them to achieve those goals, providing support to them, sharing power, and expanding our possibilities. So that kind of looks at the foundation, and then you look at the skill building. So that's that gray circle. So it is, and they are kind of, when you look at these, they are kind of positioned in a way that makes, that is set up. So you're engaging youth in experiential learning opportunities. So the STEM and the residential camping is, if you can see, that's kind of where they fall under. And it's really, you look at that, and those two programs probably have the highest amount of experiential learning opportunities. But the reason why we have that skill building in there is because one of our goals is to prepare young people for the workforce. There's been a lot of research coming out, and employers are really reporting that the young workers lack key skills, and they attribute necessary, the attributes that are necessary for success in the workplace. And so they're really looking for young people who have applied skills in communication, leadership, team working, and problem solving. So as we think about that, that makes a lot of sense, because they are all, those are all our life skills that we teach. And those are some of our top life skills that we teach within the 4-H program. So really putting an emphasis on that. But, and we know that life skills are those things that they're learning. So looking at making sure that our programs are experiential learning opportunities, that they're through direct hands-on activities or projects, that we, when we ask questions or open-ended questions, that you can get young people to further engage and discuss, that we have reflection, active reflection and discussion about that. And then we have, under healthy living and college and career readiness, we have preparing youth to make decisions for today and the future. And this is one, as another skill that, when you look at highly successful people, they have, that ability to make decisions. And, it's been debated whether decision making is an inherited skill or if it's a learned skill. And, in my opinion, I think it's very easy to teach young people how to make decisions. You can take them through the steps of look at the pros and the cons and look at all the different steps. And so, and having an adult mentor to help them through that process is really important. So then you also look at empowering youth and adult leadership. So this volunteer development and this civic engagement. So again, you can see where that really fits with those. So that's really looking at youth adult partnerships, having that shared leadership between the youth and the adults. So then we have our program priority pathway. So, it's really hard to provide high quality programs when it feels like sometimes we're doing a little bit of everything. And so I've really tried to kind of shore us up and, okay, we're going to focus in on these areas. Now, as you can see from those areas, they pretty much encompass everything that we do. So we have our STEM programming, which includes animal science and outdoor education. You saw what that included, family and consumer science areas, civic engagement, volunteer development, because we have to continue to focus on helping our volunteers. And then college and career readiness. This is another area that I feel like we really need to have it be an intentional programming area. We have, we've got a lot of, it's always been in the background, but we really have to make it a priority area. Then healthy living. And the other one that we are going to be focusing on is residential camping. So that's the overnight camping. programs. And so this is really not only just a project or a program, but it's also a process of how that gets done. So I want to just kind of share with you an example. Now, this isn't necessarily what it's going to look like, because one of the things that we are working on as well is each one of these 6 areas, we are creating a strategic plan for each one of those areas that includes both volunteers and staff on those strategic planning committees. And so we did have a committee for STEM that they have been working. We're close to that, and it feels like it keeps getting pushed to the back burner, but hopefully with some of the slowdown of some things, my life hasn't slowed down, but with hopefully we'll be able to get back and get that one done. The next one we're going to start working on is healthy living, and the plan is to get each one done and then start the next one. So you may be asked to help on one of those strategic planning committees, and just really kind of trying to focus in on what we can do and do well. It's not that we won't do the other things, but we want to really focus on what we can do and what we can do well. But an example, so STEM, I just want to think a little bit about STEM and STEM. So, we know that every project that's around the STEM area, and it doesn't matter if it's an animal science project, if it's an outdoor education, like a shooting sports project, it should have some kind of STEM competencies that are tied to that. So there's multiple different types of STEM competencies, and what are the STEM skills that you want? So some of those, could include, and like I said, these are not necessarily the ones that have been decided. I just wanted to share an example. So problem solving is one STEM competency. That's one model that they show a competency. So it really requires you to quickly work to make sense of problems when they're presented, and then work to propose real and appropriate solutions. So that's one way. Creativity. So requires the ability to look at and propose solutions to a problem through multiple approaches. So they learn that skill. Inquiry skills. Again, they're learning how to ask the questions, how to effectively solve those problems by asking the questions. We know that they're going to learn math and science skills. They're probably going to learn some engineering design thinking. They're also going to learn about critical thinking and how do you analyze information, evaluate different designs, evaluate different options, and make, and propose creative solutions. And then also they might learn about collaboration. So, we know that we can't, big challenges we can't create or we can't do on our own, solve on our own. And so we have to work as a team. And so, looking at that, I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at. So, yeah, so we are, so that's one of those pieces that we are looking, that's how we're kind of going about the process and showing that. And then you look at the delivery of programs. So, our focus of programming, we know the focus of our programming for increasing our numbers is going to be, we're going to focus in on clubs, camps, school-based, and after-school program, after-school-based. But, we know that that's not the only way that we can deliver 4-H programs. So I just want to, but, those are the ones that can give us the biggest bang for our buck at this point. So we can reach the largest number of youth this way with a high-quality educational program. We can do lots of one-time educational, which I think that those are good, and there's need for those. We use those to, here's a taste of what 4-H can offer. Now here's how you can get involved in the larger program. And so, again, it's important. But I want to talk about the types of clubs. So, one thing about the club program that we need to start thinking about within 4-H, and this isn't just necessarily Nevada 4-H, this is something we've been looking at across the country, but it really is something I think we need to focus in on in Nevada as well, is how can we give young people the same experience within the club program, but in a, in a shorter time frame maybe, or you know, in a different way. And so what I'm going to share with you is 6 types of clubs that we currently have available, and what those are going to, you know, what those look like. So most of you are familiar with our community clubs. Those are traditionally based in a community. It might be in a geographic area. It might be in a, typically they're in a geographic area. Some of our counties have a community club for the entire county. And so that, you know, it just depends on how that is. Those are typically, they usually meet, you know, evenings, weekends, offer multiple learning experiences and activities. So there's multiple projects within that club. So we might have a club that has crocheting and swine and photography and food preservation and something else. And they have leaders for each one of those areas. And then but they do have to, you know, they have monthly business, or they have business meetings. They meet regularly to have business meetings, and then they meet separately, usually to have project meetings. And so, which are usually at different times than the regular club meeting. They have the youth-led leadership model. These are typically clubs too that have 5 or more. They have to have 5 or more youth from 3 different families. And they, you know, they have their youth-led leadership model, which, you know, I always say is not necessarily the, it's, you know, it doesn't have to be officers. It can be some, you know, you can be creative about that. And then, you know, they also have those meetings. So we also have project clubs. Those are similar to our community clubs, but just slightly different in there may just be one project. So many of our counties have project-based clubs. So the club is a poultry club, and that's the project that they offer, or it's a dog club, or it's a crochet club. And, you know, that, and then they would have business meetings as well. The one that many of you may not be familiar with, and this is one that we're just starting to introduce into Nevada. It's been around for probably 5 or so years, but really looking at what they call SPIN clubs, which is a special interest project club. SPIN is special project, or special interest is how they, you know, that's how they did it. So what this is it's a short-term activity. It's a short-term experience. Could be a few weeks, it could be a few months, but the focus is on a specific area, usually in a specific time frame. So the youth are involved in planning and coordinating the activities. So there's still that youth-led leadership opportunity, but they may not elect officers. So they also, you know, they also still have to have a volunteer, etc. But what makes them a little bit different is they take the programming to the participants. A lot of times these happen in our communities, community centers, might happen at a Boys and Girls Club. It could happen at the extension office, but typically you take those opportunities to our young people. They usually offer 5 to 6 sequential learning opportunities. So they'll take a project and they will do the 6 lessons of that project with at least 2 hours of education. We really want to have, you know, more, but, you know, that's kind of what they're looking at. There's flexible and variable times for these. So it might be a meeting. They might have, you know, a meeting once a week for 6 weeks. They could have it twice a week for 3 weeks, or they could have it twice a month for 3 months. It's, you know, what works for our young person, you know, for the young people involved. What we found is those really, with our changing demographics, and this is both urban and rural, you know, we have a lot of changes within family dynamics, with school, with a variety of things, and families don't necessarily have the ability to commit to a year-long program area anymore. And so it's looking at how you can offer some of these shorter terms. And you might have one child that's involved in 3 different SPIN clubs. You know, maybe in the fall they do, you know, art, And in the winter, they do another project. And then in the spring, they do gardening. They're each 3 different spin clubs, each different spin clubs. And they might be involved in all 3, but, it's a short term. They don't have to commit to all year and meeting as often. They also, they have a smaller youth to adult ratio. Those aren't typically, 100 members. There's probably 10 to 20 maybe. So, and then we also have, we have 3 other types of clubs. We have after school clubs, military clubs, and in-school clubs. So our after school clubs, it's different than our after school model, where this one where they actually follow, where they have business meetings, they have that youth-led leadership, they have, they're doing projects. That, with our after school program, they're, our staff and volunteers are going in to teach a lesson. It's not that same experience. Military clubs, we do have 4-H clubs on military installations around the country. And those are really focused in on the military bases, or maybe a National Guard. They don't have to be military families to be involved in those clubs, but typically that is the audience. And we do have military clubs in Nevada, down in Clark County, and I don't think we have any more in Churchill. We used to, but I'm not sure if we do. And then in-school clubs are, and this is one that is typically a southern, like the South, it's their delivery model where the 4-H staff person actually goes into the schools and they run 4-H clubs in the schools. We actually have had very good success in Clark County with pilot testing this model, and they have, I think it's at least one school, but it might be more than one, where they have a 4-H club in different grades. So there's a 4-H club for the 4th grade, and there's a 4-H club for the 5th grade, and they meet different times during the day, different times during the school day. They might meet at lunch to have an officer meeting, and then they will meet at and then they have other times. So but they are meeting during the school day and doing their projects during the school day. So, if anybody is interested in that, even as volunteers, if you want to go in and do that, or if you're a school teacher and you want to start a program like that in your school, or if you want to, if you think that would be really successful in your county, let us know. We will get you the information of how to do any of these clubs. And then just, special interest short term. So this is a variety. So the special interest and short term, these are where we might be doing youth development activities that involve direct teaching educational activities. So example would be the teen leadership retreat, that either at the county or state level, Capital City Farm Days. I was trying to pull some examples from counties. It could be multi-day or meetings or conferences or community events where there are educational activities. There's overnight camping. Most of you are familiar with our overnight camping programs. Could be in your county, or it could be at the state 4-H camp. And then there's also day camping. We do have a lot of counties that go into housing. So if it is if it's at a library, I'm getting some questions. If it's at a library, it could be for most of your counties, those county staff can help you with figuring, you're all volunteers, and we can, you're all important part of the program. So, but our day camps, we can go into housing complexes. It might be spring break camps, just a variety. School-based programming, again, is where we go in as volunteers or staff, and we supplement the curriculum for the teachers. So they might ask you to come in. I used to go in and do a conflict resolution and team building for 2nd through 4th graders when I was in the county. And I would reach 1,000 kids, I swear. I don't think it was that many, but it felt like it at any given time. But I would go in and teach that, and it helped with their social, and it met their social and emotional, or whatever that standard is. And so it wasn't a club. So yeah, and Gretchen, if you want to ask that question, you can unmute and ask it.
I just had a question about being in the school-based programs, because at my children's school, they do specials, which is like they go to library, and then one day they go to music, and they go to, and so would the 4-H club be like considered a special where they could then choose to go to that? Or is it more like an after school, like then, you know, we have like robotics after school where they would do it kind of an after school program?
Yeah, you know, and that would be something I'd talk it over with your county person, because I think you could, if the school district would let you do one of those special activities as a 4-H club, I think that would be fantastic. You know, if I would love that. I think.
I think that there's different requirements for the state, right? That they have to do these different things. So would that fit in with the state educational standards of being able to promote that and then get credit for something?
Probably.
Or is that something that would have to be separate?
Yeah, and Sarah has a comment too about that. Yeah, Sarah, jump in.
Thank you. What I was going to say is that here in Washoe County, we have worked with several schools when we go in, and if they're having a science week, or I just finished before they close the schools, we just did a reading week where 4-H went in and provided some experiential learning opportunities and stuff. So that would equate to what you were saying, Gretchen, as those specials. So, and the kids, and it was considered approved curriculum instruction time for the kids.
Yep. So I would say definitely work with the county on that and see, because you could also, you know, if you can get a project that is, you know, meets their standards, which most of our projects do meet school standards, we can, you know, that would be great. So, all right. Oh, sorry. And then the after school based would be if we go in and offer programming in an after school setting. So I know like in Carson City, they do, they go in, they partner with the 21st Century Learning centers and go in and teach lessons. Or I think Sharon, Sharon, I'm seeing you, so I think you've started doing some of those after school programs as well, going in and doing lessons. It's not necessarily a club where they're not having their business meetings and that kind of thing, but you're providing educational, experiential education for them. And then again, you know, the individual family and family learning, it's not a program that we really do a lot of work in, but we do know that there are those times where it's just the best fit for our young people. So yeah, Sarah said, you know, they offer about 40 plus elementary schools with after school programming. So
and
so
Carrie,
yeah,
Carrie, ours is a little bit different in that because they're getting over 6 hours of instruction, so they are actually a spin club.
Yep. Yeah. So you can see, you know, as volunteers, we have a huge variety of ways that we deliver programs beyond just the club program. And so, you know, I wanted everybody to be aware of that as well. And so I'm going to turn it, yeah, White Pine has just started doing after school programming with Boys and Girls Club. And so we're starting, you know, counties are doing some of those pieces. But okay, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah. And she's going to talk. Sarah, I'm going to make you a host so you can control. I don't know if you can control the screen or not. I don't think so, but just let me know when you want me to advance it.
You're still sharing, so you need to.
Oh, well, this is your PowerPoint. I put it in.
Okay, thank you. So you might just have to advance the slides
yes.
for me.
So I'm going to turn over to Sarah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I just finished the a special Nevada Junior Livestock Show Board meeting. So lots of moving parts. So I'm glad that I was able to join you tonight. So what I will be talking to you about is, you know, upholding that 4-H mission. And I think Carrie has some we're going to in a moment, we're going to have you do some voting, but then, and as Carrie alluded to before, what our 4-H mission is that we are engaging at whatever delivery method or delivery model that we work with our young people, is that we are doing age-appropriate positive youth development programs that shape our future leaders, because that's what 4-H has been founded on since its inception in 1902, is making the future better because we're educating our kids and allowing them to have that opportunity to learn in an embracing environment, in a supportive environment. And Carrie may have already said this, but we simply cannot, extension as a whole cannot deliver the 4-H program without the support of all of you as 4-H volunteers. So you're critical to that mission. And then we want to support you in providing you the tools necessary for you to be successful. And so when we're building on that 4-H mission, is we're always moving forward. The motto is to make the best better. And I might have tipped you off on some interactive activities we'll be doing in a moment, but is just, is that these young people are our future. And for people who may not recall, when 4-H was founded in 1902, it was founded based on the premise of these real Renaissance thinkers that said they needed to change how America at the time, because it was just America then, was doing things, how we were doing egg production and agricultural production, and they weren't able to communicate with adults. So these people that founded the 4-H program said, if we're going to make change, we need to educate kids, because kids were open to new ideas, new practices, and new ways of increasing production. So that is how we started with Cow and Corn Clubs. And basically through the support of these forward-thinking leaders, kids were out producing their parents. So that was, when we're being able to do that, because kids are open, they're like sponges, and they're willing to continue to learn. And it's fascinating. So that's why I love doing the work I do in 4-H youth development, and what I do being able to interact with all of you as volunteers. So Carrie, I think, is going to put up a poll about being able for us to match our 4-H basic understanding.
So I kind of messed up when I put these polls together, but there's 7 questions for you guys to answer. Sorry. Are you guys seeing the polls?
So far, I just see the slide, the Nevada 4-H mission.
Okay, so I don't know why it's not, okay. I got to figure out what it's doing. Why is it not showing up?
There's polls at the bottom. Do you maybe need to click on that?
Does everybody else see the poll?
I just hit polls.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, I see it on my screen. Do others see it?
That's what
I don't see anything.
Yep.
Oh.
No,
I don't see it, Carrie.
nope. It's because I made you a.
Oh. I was
Okay.
So
Sorry,
hoping.
guys. We may not be able to do this interactive part because I didn't.
Well, we could do it vocally.
Yes, we could. I did not play with this part enough. Okay. Yes.
So in terms of, I'm going to just, and then anybody you either can put it in chat or just shout it out. What is the 4-H emblem?
A 4-leaf clover.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I want.
What more about that clover?
With the H's.
Mm-hmm.
And the stem has to go to the right.
Yes. So by definition, the 4-H clover is federally protected under the Section 18 U.S. Code 707, which belongs to the Congress of the United States. So the clover is protected like the presidential seal. And so there are, and I think Carrie in the past has shared guidelines with use of the emblem. but that's, you know, what the clover is all about. So what is the 4-H motto?
What was that, Sarah? The 4-H?
Motto. What is the 4-H motto?
To make the best better.
Thank you. And what are the 4-H colors?
Green and white. Green.
Green and white.
Green and white, yes. So where is 4-H?
In our community.
All
It's
around
in
the
our-
world.
It's all around the world. It's in every state, as well as the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, America Samoa, the Mariana Islands, and Air Force and Army installations, and we're in at least 80 countries worldwide. So 4-H is the largest youth-serving organization in the world. Let me see if there's... I think that covers most of those. Okay, so we can... So are you on the next slide, Carrie? So when it's like with the role of, when in terms of upholding that 4-H vision, all of you as 4-H volunteers are to work with youth in those project meetings, through their various club activities, through their various events, and providing service to community and providing in your roles in the county, state, and national level. And as I said earlier, you're critical partners. We can't do the program without you. And through your volunteer efforts as a volunteer leader, you help achieve our 4-H mission as a whole. So we're working together in that. You know, everything that you do supports the vision and mission and future of our 4-H program. So next slide. So as volunteers, what we as your professional staff, what we do is ensure that we provide you the orientation, the training, and the ongoing support so you can be successful as a 4-H volunteer, and then also to provide that recognition. Many of you say, oh, I don't need that recognition. But to acknowledge what you're doing selflessly to support the 4-H program is critically important. And your 4-H staff in your county, their primary role is to ensure that you have all the tools you need to be successful as a 4-H leader. As 4-H, you know, as your 4-H county support people, the perks of what we get to do sometimes is interact with the kids, but our primary role and our primary focus is to ensure that our volunteers have everything they need to be a successful club leader. And we do that through, you know, we do that initial orientation and onboarding and into that terrible thing we call workday. And then we provide ongoing training and then ongoing support. And then we do recognize you for your years of service and your contributions to your county. There are also national recognition. You can be recognized at the national level, and that's a very prestigious award. And then we do, in the state of Nevada, we also have the Points of Light recognition. So there's lots of different opportunities that your staff can nominate you for and oftentimes we do that just because you know, we'll do it without letting you know until, because we just appreciate everything that you've done for us.
There's also our 4-H Volunteer of the Year now award for Nevada that's jointly sponsored between us and Nevada Ag Foundation. So
yes, yeah, we have and that award is given out at Expo. Yes, that leader is recognized at Expo.
Yes,
and there's lots of national opportunities for 4-H volunteers. We have the National Leaders Forum is somewhat on a hiatus right now nationally, but we do have states that provide leader forums or leader education opportunities, and our volunteers can also experience conference, and which is in Washington, D.C., and Congress, which is in Atlanta. And then there's also Citizenship Washington Focus and Leadership Washington Focus that 4-H volunteers can participate in as chaperoning delegations to participate in those learning opportunities. And then, we do, through conference, we have a National Day of 4-H on Capitol Hill. And we provide that opportunity for kids and volunteers where they can speak directly to their elected officials in Washington. And then Carrie, I think, discussed Capitol Days that we do here when our legislative session is, when we're in session. Questions on what volunteers receive? Okay, next slide. So as you know, what this is you, Carrie, right?
Yeah.
I can cover it if you want.
Well, we can both cover it. It'll be kind of.
So we do have some pretty lofty goals for to reach by 2025, and we truly want. If we say we have the best program in the world, then we all need to work collectively to get that word out and increase our 4-H participation to 100,000 youth. By 2025, to reach 35,000 more kids, that's not going to be hard. And to increase our club enrollment, that's not going to be hard either. It's going to be a little heavier lift getting more 4-H volunteers, but we can do it. And, we just have and we're looking to you to share your ideas on how we can increase that leadership. And as Carrie talked about earlier, when we have different opportunities for volunteers, you may not want to lead a club all year, every year, but you might want to do one of those special interest topics and stuff. So there's different ways that we can help reach those audiences.
Yes. And Anna Marie, that is an awesome picture. I love
Yes,
it. That is from.
I knew those were Carson kids at the Carson Fair.
That's actually an expo.
That's expo. I think I petted some of those doggies.
Yep. Oh yes, that large one in the front was super sweet. So, all right.
He's a little bully.
He was sweet to me, but
Yeah, she's not even 2 yet.
Yeah. So, all right. So one of the things, and this is what we wanted to spend a little bit of time on, we've got just under an hour left, and I want to spend some time talking to you as volunteers and the staff. You guys can chime in as well. Staff, we'll be having our own conversations about this, but I would like to get your input on this as well. But looking at how can we reach these goals? Both at the county level and at the state level. And so, not only, we want to look at this, can we reach these doing things the way we've always done them? We have to look at it of how can we do this? And so, and base it on, I've shared with you quite a bit of information in the last in the last hour. And so I just want to, we can, if you guys want to share ideas either in the chat box, the other piece, actually, I think I'm going to break you guys into the breakout rooms again, so you can come up with some, so it's a little bit smaller group to think about this. And then we'll come back as a large group and share some of those ideas. But if I can get somebody in each group to be a note taker, and then, when this is all over, if you could send me those notes of ideas of how, what people think that how we can reach these goals of, reaching 100,000 youth. Really, we're kind of looking at that 100,000 youth, but also how could we potentially get additional volunteers and additional club members. So, oh, good. That's, yeah, people's trying to start a club. I think it is, there's a lot of you know, and that's why I'm like, you know, I can come up with ideas, but you guys are the experts. You're out there recruiting our young people. So I'm going to put you into the breakout rooms. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes in the breakout rooms, if that works. And then you will come back and share. But if one person from each group, hopefully everybody, now there isn't the chat box in the breakout rooms. So I do want to remind people about that. Hopefully you have a microphone in your, if you don't have a microphone, then when it asks you if you want to join the chat room, just stay in the main room and we can have a discussion on the chat room, or, you know, on the chat box. So, okay. I'm going to put you in different rooms. Okay, and I have to just make it, I have to change this a little bit. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna move you into your rooms. Okay. For those of you that are still, okay, not a problem. For those of you that are in the main room, it looks like there's 4 or 5 of us, so that's good. If you guys want to share, you know, you guys can use the chat box and share some ideas. That would be great. Of ways that you think we could, you know, what are some ways that we could reach? Okay, that's yeah, I like that, you know, flyers in schools, that's always a good way. Posting on Facebook, talking with kids. Usually what we found is it's the ask, yeah. Okay, I like that, you know, state and county level, and that's one of the questions I'm gonna ask you guys at the end is, we're looking at, you know, some of those virtual opportunities for young people. I guess I'd like to hear from there's a few of us in this group, if you think young people would be interested in more virtual type of even opportunities, and then using some of the, you know, using some of the technology. So thoughts on, you know, thoughts, or if you have other ideas, those of you that just joined, yeah, yeah. A lot of kids do prefer in person, but there are shy kids that like virtual. Or, you know, yeah, robotics is always a huge hit. And I'm thinking we probably need to do some more training around for volunteers on robotics, because it is a little scary for some of our volunteers. That, you know, there are simple robotics to do, but when you get into big stuff, it's a little intimidating. I know it's intimidating for me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you know, I like that idea, having more homeschoolers, and that's an audience I don't know if we've tapped into big time in Nevada, but we do have more and more homeschool group, you know, we could, right now I think we're all homeschooling, but we could, you know, that's something we could tap into. And I like the idea of starting out virtually and then moving into some of these other opportunities. Yeah. Other thoughts? It's at looking into the schools, you know, we need volunteers to help go into schools. You know, if we have volunteers that can go in and teach lessons in schools, that is fantastic. You know, I always like that. So I do have somebody asking a question, so I got to jump over, but keep the chat up. Okay. Somebody had a question? Or not?
No.
Oh, okay. I got a message that said somebody had a question, so I'll let you guys go back to your discussion.
Thank you.
Yep. The great thing about this is I can jump from chat or from chat room to chat room, and it's kind of, or from breakout room to breakout room, so it's kind of cool. So yeah. Okay, so you guys can hear me, right? I'm hoping so. Okay. So I do like that, yeah, computer games, not necessarily virtual meetings, but you know, I'm just trying, you know, we're trying to think of some ways to so if we can incorporate something. I'm not sure what it's going to look like, but beyond the club program, what do you think are some ways that we could help reach that 100,000? Anybody have any thoughts? Okay, you know, and advertising in the schools and online, it depends on what county you live in as far as the school district. Clark County is really tough to get into the, yeah, Nye, you might be able to in Nye. What you would do is talk, you know, for Nye County, I would talk to Jamie or Stormy and see if, you know, as far as the southern Nye and Pahrump, if you're in Tonopah, then it is, you know, then you would have to go through Carroll. But yeah, and we do know that we're working on trying to get those volunteer packets simplified. Unfortunately, the university is such a pain in the rear end. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest with you. It would be so much easier if we could, but yeah, you know, doing some of those open house things are really good ways to draw people in. That is fantastic that you can get your schools to share Facebook posts. That to me is amazing. I love that. So hopefully, you know, I like all these ideas. If we can, it just depends on the county. Washoe and Clark County, we can't hardly put anything in the schools. Just because they are so large. We're making inroads, but we did just find out the other day that the superintendent for Washoe schools is a 4-H alumni. So that's helping us get into that system, but it's just slow. You know, you're really fortunate when you live in the rural communities and it's a little easier. Still not great, but yeah, you know, holding a show or a mini fair, that does tend to draw people, you know, or just some kind of activity where people, you know, young people can come and see what it's all about. I think we have about another minute left. Yeah, local events draws people in. That's another big one as well. I know like Nye County, you guys participate in the, is it Fall Festival? If your community does some activities like that, that's always a really good way, you know, good one. And Melissa, you are in, okay, in Wild West, yeah. So, okay, it looks like everybody's kind of starting to jump back in, so. Okay, White Pine, yeah. So there may be some things in White Pine, you know, I don't know what community festivals are there, but Alex is really getting, she's in tune to the community and really getting people involved. Yeah, yeah, that might be something. Beatty Days, that, you know, that would be a Jamie and Stormy question to get involved in there. So I think there's lots of, yep, we're all starting to move back. Thank you guys for that great conversation. Okay. Stormy and Jamie, I think Jamie was on here too. You guys can see, I had a lot of your people on here, so they have lots of ideas for you guys. It was good. So welcome back, everybody. Hopefully it looked like, you know, so those of you, I think it was in 7, in chat room 7, where my iPad went to, I could see, you know, there was some great discussion. Hopefully everybody had really good discussion. If I can get, you know, a representative from each group to share a couple ideas with us, that would be fantastic. So just, if you can unmute and share, that would be great.
Carrie, this is Liz. I can go.
Okay.
I think I was in your iPad group. So we had somebody that was actually trying to start a club. So it was actually really good perspective on what kind of hurdles. So just working on the awareness of what 4-H is, and that it's more than just animals, that it's pretty much anything you want it to be. So just getting that out there, that 4-H can really be anything. Knowing who to go to for to know what resources are available to you. So just making sure that that's very clear from the get-go. So I guess having kind of a point person and then who you can go to from there. And then I had just kind of talked about in Elko, where here I think a huge part of getting more participation here is going to be getting into the schools more. And that I feel there'll be a lot of support in that. Just need to kind of get that going. And that when I have been in a classroom here, when I ask who knows what 4-H is or anything they know about it, basically what I get is a handful have heard of it, but there's really nothing else they know about it. And very few are actually in it, which is interesting. So just trying to get into the schools more for more awareness.
Okay, great. Thank you. Somebody else want to go?
Hi, this is Deanne. I had group 6. We kind of missed a couple people in there, but one of the things we kind of came down to was maybe if you could get just like a really simple general survey, kind of some things going out in the schools, you know, check some boxes of what some kids might want, their age bracket and so forth. And just, even if it was just a Dropbox thing to give you an idea.
Okay, great. That's a good idea. Other groups?
This is Denise from group 3. And we had Anna Marie, who uses the Carson City Fair to recruit for both members and for volunteers. And then Belle uses Walmart Lego Aisle to help recruit for her Lego group. She uses business cards because she said people look at her like she's kind of crazy. But she also talked about using the idea of a mini show fair kind of thing to show what the Lego groups are doing there. So That's what we had so far.
Great, thank you.
I don't know what group I was in. But we just talked about how fortunate we are that we got a Boys and Girls Club started a couple of years ago, and how amazing our 4-H coordinator has been, Alex, with integrating some of the 4-H programs into the Boys and Girls Club, and the cooperation between the two, because I know, like in Elko, you know, we're a big mining town, and so with that, you know, it's a 12-hour shift kind of a thing, and so even though 4-H is definitely a parent-based kind of a group setup, you know, with the leaders for the parents for support, but with the 4-H club working with the Boys and Girls Club, you get a lot more exposure for those parents who need to have the child care because they're working the longer shifts. So I think this is going to see our program expand by leaps and bounds, plus the fact that Alex is just amazing. So I think that's like, and that's the same thing, getting in the schools, getting in the after school, working with these clubs that are, you know, already kind of providing the services that the parents have to have because of their situations.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Another group?
Hi, this. Oh, go ahead. Oh, wait.
Katie, why don't you go?
Okay, I was in group 5. We talked about advertising, maybe different ways, putting up information tables or information booths at different things, maybe farmers markets, ag-related, you know, activities, a little bit more information just in general for the kids, try to target them, why join 4-H. Also maybe like more Facebook or social media, Instagram, maybe letting our, within, you know, with some guidance from leaders, but letting kids, because kids seem to, you know, they can maybe be in charge and help do that too. And also we talked about the schools, passing out information in the schools, and yeah, trying to target that yeah, that's your target area. So that's what we came up with.
Okay, great. And then I didn't catch who the other one that was trying to talk was.
It was me.
Okay.
It was me. So we talked about some of the social media that kids have reported that that's a good way to reach volunteers and kids. So we talked about some things that are happening with that. Also, sort of recruiting kids from being part of school programming or doing, going into the schools to talk about different projects that are happening with the club model. So they would be getting the school program, but then that would sort of bring them over to some of our clubs. And basically just kind of talked about some of the, you know, needing to pre-plan things and stuff like that. So, and some of the ways that worked in the past, like flyers and through the sent home with the kids, don't necessarily work as well now as they did then.
Okay. Was there, I think there
Carrie,
might have been oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
this is Sharon. I don't know what our group number was because I had actually stepped out of the room when you announced all that, and I came back and I'm like, what are we doing? Anyways, we had some good suggestions too. A lot of, I think everybody's kind of on the same page here, but back to basics, better communication. There was a person that said, you know, communication from the top down is extremely important. Larger community events open to everybody. So like we do ag in the classroom here, and one of my volunteers was actually in my group, and she said, why couldn't we do that for like a public event, like, you know, make an ag day or something like that. Marketing, advertisement, streamlining the background check process.
Believe me, I wish.
I know, and I know, and it's very difficult. And we had a volunteer, Tasha, I believe, Kirby. You know, she had a question. She's, you know, they're waiting for their background check. Can another leader step in to help them get their club going? Can a staff member work with them until they're cleared? You know, and I said, that's a Carrie question. I wasn't answering it, but but just things like that to kind of help, you know, foster that belonging. And there was another question about resources that had already been brought up. There were people just going, you know, where do I go for resources? Who do I ask? How do we get those? Is it a funding issue? Is it, you know, because it's different from county to county. So, but just really that outreach and working with community, you know, looking outside the box, working with community partners that we never might have thought to connect with before. So
great.
Of course, the schools are very important. So
yep. Was there another group? I think we're pretty close.
Can I ask a question about the schools? I might have missed it. I have a lot going on this side. Are we allowed to go to the schools to talk to groups? I have a friend who's an assistant principal in Silver Springs, but that's not my county. It's Lyon County. Can we go to different counties too?
You know, I would, if it was me, and Sarah and Nora jump in if you know, but if it was me, I would talk to both your county and then that county that county 4-H professional. I mean, it's great if we can get volunteers and youth into the counties, you know, into those schools talking. You know,
and that's what I was going to say, is that you've got your county 4-H person, but for the rural counties, you've got me, which is Sarah, and then for the Clark County, you've got Southern area, you've got Nora, and we can help you through that. But you know, no matter, I mean, Anna Marie, no matter if you were able to get into a Silver Springs school and talk about 4-H, that's a win-win.
Yeah.
And you would just direct.
Yeah, if any of you all want to volunteer. I was gonna say, if any of you all want to volunteer in Clark County or Southern Nevada, come on down.
Yeah.
I'm honestly willing to go to any school. She's gonna let me take the dogs in there too. So I just didn't know if there was like a form. I mean, obviously I have a background check and everything with you guys, but I just didn't know if there was a specific form I had to take with me to the school and all that. But I'll talk to our office too.
Yeah, talk to Sandy and Jim, and then I can help pull together some of those pieces to help you.
This all just came about, but then school got shut down.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, we can't go to schools now, but.
Thank you.
Yep. But those are, you know, and Melissa shared sending emails, text messages, Facebook posts about the meetings. And I know, Melissa, I've noticed on the White Pine, you know, I see all those posts, and it does, you know, I think it does generate, you know, we've got to look at other social media as well. That's one of the things I'm not super good at. I keep trying to figure out if any of you know a college student when we go back to school, when college students are back on campus as well, that would like to help with social media for 4-H, you know, especially if they're UNR, fantastic, send them my way, because I need a social media director. I'm not that good at it. I can only pretty much do Facebook. I'm not good at the other one. So I need somebody that can navigate all of that. But all right. Well, thank you so much. This has been a great conversation. You know, and if you guys get other ideas, please send them to me. That would be, yeah, great. Thank you for the two that have helped or that have volunteered kind of to help with social media. I will be getting a hold of you, because we do have one thing that we do have a marketing committee that has been set up for 4-H in Nevada. We're part of the national marketing campaign for 4-H. I don't know if any of you have, there's a couple of commercials that are out, and I haven't seen one here, but those of you that get Boise stations, so that Northern Nevada, you may have seen a couple, because I know that they have run during news time, because my mother keeps calling me and going, I just saw this new commercial for 4-H. Clark County is supposed to have some billboards. We haven't found them yet, but there's supposed to be some there. But we do have some other options, and so we're really trying to ramp up our marketing for 4-H, not only just for, you know, to get more members, but really And Starla, on the rules for making recruiting videos, that would be a good question for working with your county staff. And then, you know, being in Southern Nevada, I'd probably get Nora a little bit involved in that a little bit, just making sure, you know, it can be done. We just have to, yeah. And I agree, you know, our university requirements for social media, believe me, I've gotten in a few arguments the last couple of weeks with university and social media. So, because I wanted to share some things and I couldn't. So but you know, we're gonna work around everything. So great. And so I'm gonna go, any other questions, comments about this? This won't be the last that we'll be talking about this. Obviously it's gonna be something on everybody's radar.
For like the social media thing, are you wanting like a page or like a group where people can comment on stuff?
Well, and we do, I mean, we currently have like a Facebook page, and we have, I'm trying to navigate the groups within Facebook, but you know, even like we don't really have a presence statewide on Instagram or even, you know, Snapchat or some of those, just because I don't know how to navigate them, and I have not felt comfortable letting my 15-year-old loose with the state 4-H stuff.
Well, and Instagram and Facebook interact very well with each other, so those platforms share.
Yep. I just haven't learned how to do that.
Because I know my some of my kids that I taught, they created a group, and it's for people, and they just post pictures of their animals and like what they're doing with them. So I didn't know if that's kind of what you guys were trying to do for that, or.
We're kind of looking at some of that too. You know, what are some, you know, we've been talking also about trying to engage more alumni in the program, and that's, you know, they've been talking about kind of at the national level of creating these alumni groups. And so again, you know, I'll be getting a hold of all of you that have made comments about social media to help with this, because it's definitely not, I really try to be up on a lot of things, but some things I'm like, I just can't do it. My brain is full and I can't learn a new thing. So.
Well, and social media is time consuming. It
Yes.
is. I mean, you really could, I mean, other universities around the country have full-time people that's all they do. That's it.
Yep.
So.
Yep. There are actually some, believe it or not, there are some state 4-H programs that they just have a social media person.
Yep.
And I'm like, dang, I wish I had that.
I did tell the parent that asked me, can we do Facebook so we don't have to do these text message feeds, because people randomly text at 10 o'clock at night, and you don't want to, you know. So I was like, well, if you want to do it, then yeah, but I don't want to deal with Facebook any more than I already have to for work. So
yeah.
But, if it has to be a leader or something, then
we can work around that. You would just work with your county person to figure out all the policies. And that might be another training at some point, is again, how to navigate that social media stuff. Yeah, we're all trying to learn it as staff too, I think, is how do we navigate all this? So, all right. Well, the next section that we wanted to talk about is, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen, is we want to share with volunteers is kind of what are the responsibilities, what kind of level of support should you expect from a 4-H staff person, and you know, and we want to share with you all of the things that that a lot of our staff people, and there's a lot of staff that are on here tonight, and so we can't, you know, they may say, well, I don't do that, but these are all things that could potentially be part of a staff person's responsibilities. So I'm just going to share with you those. So just the first page, and these are all in coordination with their county extension educator, with their 4-H, or with our regional person. You know, we've got Nora and Sarah that serve kind of as a regional or area program manager as well. So it's all things, again, their job is to implement, direct, coordinate, and provide research-based education that responds to clientele requests, the community needs, and emerging issues. That could change. A lot of our counties didn't have after-school programs 3 years ago. It became an emerging need, so that was added to their responsibilities as providing an after-school program. They collaborate with other groups to lead, that will lead to new audiences. We had a lot of talk about Boys and Girls Clubs. That's collaborating with another group. They look at those innovative approaches to reaching diverse audiences. You can see all of those. They may be writing newspaper articles. They may be doing, short courses, doing short sessions with them, might be doing interactive video, just a whole variety of things. They might partner with other groups or agencies in the county, other youth serving organizations to provide youth programs. We have counties that work with FFA to provide joint programming. They like Boys and Girls Club, etc. They also, part of what they look at is providing or obtaining private and public funding to support extension efforts. So that's, they might be doing fundraising within the county. They might be writing grants. Just depends on what their areas are. Then we have, they communicate and coordinate with our 4-H area program managers and the state 4-H staff. They respond to requests, office visits, telephone calls, emails, correspondence. I don't think I've seen any of them that do not respond promptly and professionally. So we do have, we have outstanding staff that do that. And, if you saw the amount of emails that we all get, it's probably it feels like some days it's no less than 50 emails a day that have to respond to. So trying to keep up on that. Advertising and marketing 4-H and extension programs. They also have to support the civil rights mandate that we have, coordinate with administrators, their extension educators, and other office personnel to manage budget, schedules, leave, and other job-related. And then I'm seeing Sharon going, whoo! I'm just kind of laughing, but this is, they recruit, develop, and train volunteer and youth and adult volunteer leaders to assist with that implementation. They're making sure that the child protection guidelines are all in line. They manage and oversee data management, which is our enrollment system. And again, market and promote the 4-H program. They participate in county, state, and area professional development. And then, they are now, a lot of our staff are being asked to document and report impacts, because we are having to share, we're having to give more and more reports to our impacts. We're trying to help at the state level with that, but, they are having to do some of that themselves. So, as you look at, that's, 3 pages of responsibilities, and that doesn't include the other duties as assigned, I guess. And so, we look at that, and, we know that our club program is the heart and soul of our program. It is, you look at the research, and it truly does show that that's where the biggest impact of the 4-H program is. But, we just wanted to let everybody know that, that's not the only responsibility of our 4-H staff, our extension educators, or, any of our paid professionals. So Nora, Sarah, anything you want to jump in and say about that one?
Just that we work collaboratively. We have to work as a total group, everybody involved, and that, there's no hierarchy. I mean, some of us will have to tell you, oh, these are the rules, and these are what we have to do, but we're here to, we're all working in partnership to expand our program.
Yep.
And I would say, just if you feel like you need support, please reach out. We try to establish kind of guidelines for staff to make sure to check in with certain clubs, to maintain communication, to find out what your needs are. But if you feel like you're not getting that, then let us know, and we definitely want to support you.
Yes, for sure, for sure. So, but, you know, probably won't have staff at every club meeting. And, you know, the other piece is, you know, you're all, like, you are all fantastic volunteers, and you can, you know, I have no qualms about any of your abilities to do, to handle a club meeting. And so that's, you know, informational stuff and advertising. Yeah. And that's exactly, conscious. We look at, you know, staff, and they work with both the state and, you know, however we can do it with creating materials and trying to get it put out, you know, so it is, but, you know, we just wanted to, like I said, I wanted everybody to kind of see, yeah, I like all the discussion about all the different social media too. It's crazy. Youth are on TikTok, Instagram. Yeah, I'm even finding that those Gen Y kids are not really on Instagram anymore. It used to be kind of the thing, but parents are Facebook, kids are TikTok and Snapchat, from what I can see. So, all right. And the next one, I'm actually going to, because I want to have some time for question and answers. The next one, I think we will figure out a different way to deliver that. Or if, Sarah, do you think we can do it in a couple minutes?
I think it would be better to go to, while we have the last few minutes, is to go to questions, to be respectful of everybody's time. It's been
Exactly. That's exactly why I'd like to move to question and answers. Couple of things I will let people know right now. You know, most of you probably saw the directive from the governor about, you know, the state is still in self-isolation until the 30th of April. The school systems, I know Washoe County at least has, I believe he gave the directive to the school systems to be closed until at least April 30th. We are waiting right now from directive from the university, because that's the ones that we base our decisions on, but I expect that will be out tomorrow. So just know that we will more than likely extend our deadline for no face-to-face meetings and through at least April 30th. So I hate to keep doing that, but I've seen some of the states that have, you know, and Carrie Ann, you're exactly, you know, we've kind of heard some rumors that June might be questionable, but I don't want to go there. Arizona 4-H has shut down all 4-H programming until July 1. I don't want to go that far, just because, you know, I don't, you know, I just want to, like, it scares me to go that far. So we're going based on what our governor and what the university is recommending for us at this point, just so you know how we are making those decisions.
And I think the thing that everybody's sort of forgetting here is, even as those mandates start to lift and restrictions become maybe a little bit, you know, less, the group size, right now it's 10 or less, that group size isn't going to increase. It's not like on May 1st, 500 people are going to get to go to a concert. It's not going to happen. So Oregon, we have a family in our program here in Humboldt County, and they have family in Oregon. Oregon, they have 20 or less until the middle of August, and that's a governor mandate. So what your governor mandates is what we have to go with.
Exactly. And that's how we have been making those decisions.
Yeah, and I think it's just, people just aren't thinking. They're like, oh gosh, April 30th and we're going to go back to normal. But it's not going to be normal. It's going to be our new normal. And that's hard for people to kind of wrap their minds around.
Exactly. Gretchen did ask a good question. If we're doing Zoom meetings, you don't have to stop. You know, even if we go, you know, even if we can have face-to-face meetings, I think it's great to do the Zoom meetings as an option as well. And Sharon is right. We probably are not, we're probably not going to go back to full blown, but we just don't know what those mandates are. Feels
Right.
like, it changes every day.
Yep. And it will. It'll continue to do that.
Hi, Ireland. Sorry, I just had to say hi. The one thing I like about Zoom is we do have a chance to see people's kids. So Scott, yes, if you have a question about ongoing support and growth projectives, yes, ask that question. I think you used to have a microphone. Or you can type it, either one.
Are you talking to me?
No, I was talking to Scott. He just he has a question.
There we go. Space bar is not working right. A lot of this is biased towards shooting sports.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen basically a lack of support from the state level. Get answers at the county level, but not the state. Some of this pertains to the state shooting committee, which basically went away without any communication. Some of it pertains to expanding our shooting sports, where the ball was basically dropped. Emails go unanswered, phone calls go unanswered. I'm questioning how we can expand until we get our bases or our basics corrected.
Well,
meaning until we get the support for our current leaders, so we quit losing leaders and people or kids because leaders are getting frustrated. Until we correct those things, how can we expand?
Well, and part of that is, things have changed a lot at the, as many of you know, the state 4-H office pretty much consists of myself, and then we have somebody that focuses on camping, and we have somebody that is doing evaluation, just a part-time grad student that's doing evaluation. And so also we've been going through not having any administrative support. We finally have administrative support in the state office. And so, it's having the time to do every single piece of this. And so we are trying, I'm trying to figure out one of the things that we did. We were feeling pretty good about it. Now I don't feel good about it. Is we were asking in the 2021 legislative, and we're still gonna put it forward, but I'm just not looking like it's gonna be. But we have been asking for additional staffing support for that, and one of those positions was outdoor natural resources education, so we could have somebody that focuses in on shooting sports. And we had somebody, one of them was a youth animal science specialist, and one of them was a volunteer specialist, and one of them was a we had 5 positions that was STEM specialist. And so we really were, we've been trying to get that up and going. Unfortunately, things have changed a lot. It's not an excuse, but we've had so many things come in that trying to get that. And I'm trying to figure out that answer, Scott, of how can I get support for shooting sports? Because it is, that's one area. We've also been talking about animal science. We've got to get some support for our animal science projects. So where can we draw from to get that support with, not a whole lot. So, yeah.
And I don't want it to sound like a beef or a complaint. Mm-hmm. It's a genuine question from me.
Mm-hmm.
If we're having problems keeping people because of the lack of support,
mm-hmm.
and we're not getting support from our legislators, it's a big concern for me.
It's, we were feeling very good about this new proposal that was being put forward. It was going to do both county and state, but now with, with everything now, I don't feel comfortable. We'll see. Things might turn around in a year, but it's possible during this time we can reconvene the shooting sports committee. I've got to think about how I can do that. I've got to think about how we can, to get that up and going again. I've got to find a way to do that. So.
Well, we can do it through Zoom. So.
Right, no, and that's how we met anyway, but I'm trying to think of how we can handle the staffing to do that. So, yeah. Yeah, and they have, everything at the national level is kind of stopped as well. There's even talk of, we don't know what's going to happen with the shooting sports. So Scott, I'm going to get back to you on that and figure out, like, I've got to figure out how I'm going to do it. So, and Starla asked if are they still processing our paperwork for volunteers? So for those of you that are not, it's typically our background checks, the fingerprint results, and those are taking, I'm not involved in that process anymore, but I believe that they're taking about at least a month or 2 months to get back from, and that's,
No, way longer than that.
Are they taking longer than that? Okay.
To answer, I don't mean to interrupt, Carrie, but
He's talking about it. It's a Nye County situation, and we did it in early January. So she and her husband have been waiting since.
I'm waiting on people that I fingerprinted in December of last year.
Yeah, me too. So
I still have no results.
Okay.
But right now, with the offices closed, there is no way for us to process.
Right.
Now.
Yeah.
But we should be, yeah, I'm going to make that note because they need to be figuring out why they're not coming back.
And then I will, and Carrie she's probably sorry that I'm interjecting here, but this is a pet peeve of mine. And it needs to get resolved, and we need to come out with a different way of doing this. And I'll go out on a limb, and this may come back to haunt me, but we have a new UNR chief of police, and I want us to revisit that.
Yep. I agree.
Speaking of the not getting fingerprints back, I can't do anything with my group far as either over Zoom or anything like that because of waiting for mine. So are the kids gonna be punished if we can do a show for it's usually Labor Day? So if we were able to do that show, are they not going to be able to show because I can't teach them? How's that gonna work?
I think, this is Sarah again, I think that we can, what county are you from?
She's one of mine. She's Humboldt.
Okay, so we can problem solve that and be pretty creative on how we come up with ways. I think September we'll probably, you can use these Zoom platforms to connect with your kids and have them carry their camera, because they can use their phone to see the progress of their project. And we're still being optimistic that those shows that are scheduled in July and August, and then of course September, we hopefully will be able to do. I can announce to everybody that it will be out on Facebook, but the in-person portion of the Nevada Junior Livestock Show has been canceled. There will not be any in-person opportunity for this year's show. So
okay. That makes sense. I just know before I was just a teen leader, so I was a 4-H'er too, and I can't show anymore. So I did my fingerprints in January, and I'm just waiting for them to come back.
Okay.
And so Shannon, you and I can work on that. We can see where the status is. Yeah. Sharon, I meant, not Shannon.
Yeah, no, and I have reached out. I had reached out to Paul actually probably about 3 weeks ago, and he didn't have any answers. Actually, he said he would look into it, and that's the last I heard, because I have another volunteer on here who's been awesome. She's going to be a great volunteer. But again, she's the one I printed back in December, and still nothing. And she's interested in coming on as shooting sports. And she's also sitting on our small animal committee. So, but I am more than willing to work with Conscience. I can be on Zoom meetings. I can do anything. I'm still trying to figure out the Zoom thing myself. So hopefully by next week we'll have it up and going and we can get some stuff scheduled.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I don't know what the difference is, Scott, between our, I mean, I know what the CCW one is, but we have to do, ours go through the state and they actually go through an FBI check as well. And I
can interject there too, Scott, because of your right to privacy, we can't access any other background checks.
Yeah.
We have, because I've been around in the 4-H program for a very long time here in Nevada, for several legislative sessions, I worked with legislators to promote if I sign a waiver to be able to allow access to other background checks, but that failed in committee. So we're trying to find a way that we can get these background checks done a lot more quickly. But it isn't just for CCW, they're looking for any kind of conviction, but specifically to 4-H volunteers, we're looking for any crimes related to harm against children. So that's why it's a federal background and such. So,
well, and the next checks for the CCW is they're looking at all kinds of things.
Yeah.
What was it, Sarah, 5 or 6 years ago when they split it off? I mean, at one point our results were coming back within maybe a month to a 2-month period.
Yeah, when we could send them directly to NHP.
Right. And then they split them off and they put them in that volunteer category, and volunteers do not take priority over CCW or NICS checks or criminal checks. We're kind of at the bottom at the totem pole.
Yeah, Sharon, it's even worse than that. When if we could go back to sending them directly to NHP, we would get our results back quicker. It was,
right, I know. Yes.
So it's going back to that the university leadership and asking for a change.
Yep. And we've been fighting it for about 2 years now, and we'll continue to fight the fight. So,
but we have a new chief now. So
yes. And it is 8:30, and I know several people have had to jump off, but there's some questions that you'll probably be seeing in the next couple of days that looking at what kind of training volunteers would like, and also we're trying to figure out virtual opportunities for our young people during this time that we can't meet, and so we're probably going to be sending out some questions, and then but thank you everybody for joining very much. And I really appreciate everybody joining with us. Yeah, I like that, Starla. That's really, and it's always fun. Believe me, I struggle with it. But yeah, we will, thank you everybody and have a great rest of the night. And, feel free to email myself. I know Sarah, Nora, we will all take those questions and, do our best. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you to my Humboldt County peeps that showed up tonight. I appreciate all that you do.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good evening.
Yeah.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.